want to talk about a couple things that the length of a video I could do here on Substack is limited, and there's a lot of stuff going on today. Hope you had a good weekend. I don't think Donald Trump had a good weekend because shit is hitting the fan. Holy crap! Excuse me, on my hair. Um, I mean, the Epstein files, it's turned into a disaster. They seriously thought they had it under control, that the discharge petition was the issue. It wasn't the issue. It was the emails. And as one person said, there are 23,000 emails from the Epstein estate. And there's only really 3 or 4 talking about Epstein talk about Trump, but they're most damning ones. And he's connected. So, yeah, as you saw some of the freakouts he had, when they asked him about it, you're a bad person, bad reporter. He almost jumped on a reporter on Air Force One. And Mar-a-Lago was just lie after lie after lie on Lie Central. And finally, last night, he said, okay, Jess, go ahead, vote for the discharge petition. Vote for it. All Republicans, I free you. I free you from your obligation to me. Vote for it. He didn't free the Senate Republicans, but he freed the House Republicans. Now, there's a lot of shit going on there. Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting death threats. Some of the congressmen are getting swatted because he has a core amount of people who would defend him, period. I mean, there are t-shirts out there that say, I don't care if Trump was a pedophile. They're already trying to redefine, as in Megyn Kelly, redefine what is a child. Did he really get involved with a child? I mean, is 15 really a child? I mean, you hear them. I'm like going, what the fuck? I mean, but that's how low they will go for him. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to visit Johnny, those ICE invasions, Virginia, Chicago distractions. Yeah. We have to talk about ICE. And I'm going to throw something out there for you guys. See if you can spread it around. See, I'm not crazy. But, and so he's trying to defend it. You can't defend the indefensible. Okay. And then you had the Bubba email, which Mike and I had a good laugh on the other day when I did his podcast with the Rational Boomer. I'm like, but it's just, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, Trump strikes me as a freak. And I don't care if he gets your freak on as long as it's with adults. And that's the problem. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell were in the business of gathering children so rich people could abuse them. That's the bottom line. Rich people get bored and they want to extend their power. And the idea of having someone young and pliable to do whatever they want, knowing that no one can speak to them about, no one can question it. If you question it, we're going to go after your family. One person in one of my comments in a video was talking about what Megyn Kelly said and was commenting that, hey, that behind every 15-year-old, there was a parent that put them into that situation. That there was a parent that pushed their child toward them because of money. And I'm starting to think about it, yeah. Because the silence was bought by parents. Fear and money will do that. And that's the worst thing about it. Meanwhile, Ghislaine Maxwell is in whatever version of prison paradise she can have. Everyone's waiting on her like she's a queen. And she's she's filing her appeal or looking for to commute her sentence. She was convicted in a court of heinous crimes. But because Trump is trying to cover his ass and a lot of rich people, Same time. Remember, this ain't just about Trump. There are a lot of rich people that need to answer for it. She's getting the she's getting free pass. She's working to the court. If any court thinks after that conviction is that she is allowed to be free, I can't. The evidence was there. She was convicted by a jury of her peers, and simple as that. The same as Jeffrey Epstein would have been if he hadn't taken his life. So here we are, and with the blowback. So Trump's trying to get around it because everything else is falling apart at this time. I feel half the time we're like a train without brakes, literally going down a hill toward a barrier, and no one knows what to do because all the ones in the engine compartment are incompetent assholes. And this Epstein thing is, let's see here. Visit Johnny. MTG made it clear threatening Democrats threats from MAGA thoughts and prayers. Yeah. Quick note on her, and I'm going to address that real quick. How do I put this? Fuck her. Okay. She doesn't give a fuck about what's going on. She didn't even give a fuck about the Epstein files. This is a power grab because you can see Trump is at the back end of everything. Okay. He's losing his power. She wants to establish herself to get a statewide race here in Georgia. Now, she was prevented by the Trump regime not to run for Senate here in Georgia because, honestly, her against John Ossoff, it wouldn't even be close. It's not going to be close anyway. But now she's all of a sudden this voice of reason. Did you hear her talking the last few days? She's still talking MAGA points. She's just not down with Trump and the pedophilia. Well, I'm glad for that. Gee, but it doesn't change who she is. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. That woman is an opportunist. And she's never done anything in Congress. She's a useless human being. All she wants is power, period. And then threatening her, well, honey, if you go for the king, you better get the king. If you know what I mean. So they're starting to push back on Trump. He's pissed. Republicans in Indiana are not going to do redistricting. They don't want to do it. Okay? And he's calling them rhinos. Let's face it, the Republican Party fears the midterms, which brings us back to the vote. Now understand, Trump's DOJ, the Department of Justice, which should be neutral, but belongs to him, the Department of Justice can release the Epstein files. He just said, go ahead. They're being held by Pam Bondi under his control. They were going to release him until they looked at him and said, oh shit, we have to go through these things. Oh, by the way, redaction ain't going to help you. People will put two and two together, brother. Good luck with that. Okay. If they're released. But the point is they could have released him before until they went through and found out, oh shit. Oh shit. Yeah. Oh shit. So, but he thinks that by telling the Republicans in the House, go ahead and do what you want, the Senate Republicans are going to save him. But you have to ask those Senate Republicans like Susan Collins in Maine, are you going to vote against the discharge petition? Because Grant Palantir is coming for your seat. The DNC tried to do an assassination job. They failed. I'd rather trust him than 77-year-old Janet Mills. And polls are already saying he will stomp Susan Collins into the ground. So does Susan Collins want to vote no on the discharge petition? And he's going to take that and say, look, she's defending pedophilia. There you go. So he thinks he did something. He's not going to do something. And if he vetoes it with 100 or mostly Republicans in the House and a 60 vote in the Senate, that's veto proof. They could override a veto. So he may get the one thing he did not want to get, whether he likes it or not. But even if they release the Epstein files, I'll ask you guys, either you could do it here or later on. Um, Tell me, do you really think it's going to matter? Is he going to resign his position? Fuck, most politicians in the old days would have resigned his position for half the shit that Trump does. Recently, the Swiss showed up and gave him gold, literally gave him a gold fucking bar and a Rolex clock. You know that clock was at least 5 figures, right? And all of a sudden the tariffs, Swiss tariffs dropped. In the old days, that's fucking illegal. It's in the Constitution. You cannot take those kind of stuff from foreign entities. From Trump, it's business as usual because no one questions it. And that's where we're at. No one questions that man. He's been stealing us blind for 10 months and no one questions it. And everyone's on the grift. Kristi Noem is tied to the private prison. She's making money there. Everyone is making change off us. And they hide it with patriotism. So much bullshit. As simple as that. And that brings us on to a couple of things that they are ignoring. Let's talk about incompetency real quick. Do you know the head of FEMA quit today? Just said, fuck it, I'm out after 6 months. Which is not surprising because I don't think FEMA exists anymore. And if there's any FEMA left, let's see, you're short on the FEMA director is correct. Also worried about your FDA not working correctly. This is Vincent Johnny, fearing of food causing death, having to be the one on the news to be notified. I know. They're incompetent. The FEMA director, because basically he isn't doing anything. Do you remember the floods in Texas? There was no FEMA director down there. He wasn't there. Kristi Noem was. Because Kristi Noem, I guess FEMA falls under DHS, so she's technically the FEMA director. And there's no money in FEMA. That went to ICE. All the money went to ICE. You want to know what a contingency fund was for SNAP? It's with those ICE agents getting their bonuses and terrorizing people. Okay? So if there's a disaster, and ladies and gentlemen, you know there will be a disaster, weather, hurricane, something. That's life. When that happens, there's no one there to help us. The government's not going to be there to help us. Not the National Guard, no one. Why? Because the National Guard's out playing games with Trump. We have incompetence on that runaway train who don't know where the brakes are and keep funneling coal into the chute and raising the temperature of the boiler. Case in point, his economic people are fucking liars. They're liars. They went on Sunday. See, Sunday I expected to hear Epstein stuff. No. We got economic stuff. And Kenneth Hassett, ladies and gentlemen, the head of the Trump Economic Council, which really shouldn't even, whatever the fuck that is. That man, I'm sorry, you put clown makeup on him, he could be John Wayne Gacy. He acts like that. He's creepy. He's creepy. Okay? And he lies easily. They were talking about inflation. And again, first thing that they blame Biden. Okay? And they keep trying to sell prices are lower. No, they're not. But this is the beauty of this. This was the worst thing. He was on, I believe, Newsmax. And the guy got on him saying, hey, the anchor said, hey, you're saying prices are down, but inflation's up 3%. And he goes, no, that's Biden's inflation. And he goes, no, that was based on where the prices were when Biden left office. We've added another 3% on top of those prices. So how do you explain that? This was his explanation. That don't worry about inflation. It's been nullified because people have more purchasing power because they're getting more in their paychecks. I don't know what you're fucking talking about on that. The only one getting more in their paychecks are the ultra rich. And we're paying for it, okay? They've raised taxes on the middle class. they taken all our everything that they use to help people away. And yeah, it's still Vincent, yeah, it still will be the Biden economy inflation because they can't understand. They can't. Their excuses were trying to fix it, so it took a while to fix it. No, you took it apart. It was really already fixing. It was already shifting over. It was getting back. It was not an easy thing to do after the pandemic. But voters are stupid, and they believe the con of a man who just said, "Yeah, I'm going to fix groceries." Aren't groceries a great word? I never heard that word groceries. I think I invented that word groceries. That was a wave of his hand, everything was going to drop. Well, it didn't. And it doesn't work like that. And tariffs are one of the causes of it. If you don't believe me, remember the price of coffee had gone up, the price of tropical fruits, the price of beef. And what did Trump do? He lowered the tariffs. But the first thing he said, that had nothing to do with that. No, we are paying the tariffs. There is $17 million in trillion dollars coming in. It's all fucking bullshit. And the next time I see one of you Trump fucks saying, "Ooh, we're getting $2,000 tariff dividend check," eh, even Scott Bissett said, no, that's actually tax cuts. You have to get that through Congress." Again, Trump cannot just sign the check and save it out to us. He can steal from our treasury, which he's doing now, but he can't do that part at least. It has to go through Congress. That part we got right. The sad thing is about Congress is letting him move money when he shouldn't. Money designated for certain areas should stay there, but you let him loose into the hen house and fucked us all. So here we are. But he said that purchasing power offset inflation. Kevin Hassett said that. I'm listening to it. I'm going, no, that means we're spending more and getting less. That doesn't, there's no wash there, Ken. That's a bullshit argument. All right. And just, it's ridiculous. That's a stupid argument. That's not even an economic argument. All right. If you are watching this and no friends, have them come by to say hi. But it's a bullshit argument. Total bullshit. I mean, I'm sitting here, I've taken macroeconomics. I'm going, no, because if you lower inflation and then have more payroll, that's more purchasing power, not the other way around. But the dumb fucks will buy that. And he sits there with that fucking creepy smile. I mean, please tell me I'm not wrong. That guy creeps the fuck out of me. Because he's just swarmy and creepy, and I worry about him around small children. Okay? But it gets better. Because someone asked Scott Bissett about the price of beef. Why was beef so high? And the first thing that came out because of Biden. How? Because Biden's open border allowed immigrants to come in and they brought in their diseased cows when they came across the border and ruined the beef industry. That's why we're where we're at. What? That literally came out of someone who I believe ran a mutual fund or ran a fund, okay, a hedge fund. What? It's just, I'm going, that's just bullshit. They're lying to you. And they can't just say everything's affordable. You can't use DoorDash or Walmart to say prices are affordable. And they killed all economic news for the month of October because we know the job market is fucked. We know that the CPI has gone up. They just use the shutdown as cover to cover for their incompetency. But here's the problem with economies. Eventually, it catches up with you. Eventually, things get to the point you can't ignore it. Like no jobs, no incomes, no profits. You just you can't stop it. It rolls you over. The Great Depression proved that. The only problem with the Great Depression, and like right now what's going on, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. It wasn't until Franklin Delano Roosevelt decided to stick it to get the rich to pay their fair share that we get some kind of control over everything. I mean, it's truth. That's what the New Deal was about. We got to do that again because they're out of control. What the rich did during that time, we call trickle down economics from the 80s, blaming everyone else who need government help for your problems. That's the easiest way to get people to buy into your bullshit. The rich will take care of us. It'll all come to us as long as we give them what they want and get rid of those uh, people of color taking our money. It's almost like religion to these assholes. It's true. Like with the whole SNAP thing, you saw every video about the welfare moms and all that. Same bullshit. Different day. I've heard this shit too many fucking times in my lifetime. And you can look up everything on Google, guys, if you want to know the history of shit. And one guy did a great video on that we almost had a true military coup right after Roosevelt became president because the rich didn't like the idea of being taxed to help the poor. Fuck the poor. We're good still after the collapse of everything. And they literally were putting together an army to go into Washington, D.C. under the head of a former U.S. Marine war hero to take over D.C. and then have them run the country. That's a true story. Look it up. And the general in charge, the general who they wanted to be in charge of this coup, sold them out to Congress. You know what happened to the rich people? Not a fucking thing. The Congress said it was happened, but none of them were arrested. None of them were convicted of literally trying to do a military coup of the United States. That sound familiar? All right. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Bishop Johnny, 40% of women 15 to 44 live in this country. Yeah, I don't blame them because it's not a safe place for women. It's not. And you want a good example of that bullshit? What happened in Minnesota to Amber Shack? I spent the early part of my years working in a union, working in a booth, physical work. I wasn't a welder, but I did physical work. It was a union shop. Okay. That was my job. Okay. And there were problems with union members to begin with. Now I know everyone says this wasn't a union shop, but follow me. I know the thinking of these guys. They are not well educated. They think the world revolves around them, and women bug them. So this motherfucker literally, because this 20-year-old welder probably, he didn't like her, took a sledgehammer to her and killed her. And no wonder women want to leave this country. I mean, that is toxic masculinity to the core. Defend that, assholes. You can't. Or if you defend it and say, well, that was a man's job, so fuck you. Women can outwork any man, period. Okay? And also, peace has gift. Fuck you, women make better soldiers. You taking away that woman's command for special forces after she won a Purple Heart, that means she was wounded in combat. Because you want women to be in the military? Fuck you, you spineless pig. I want you to make that decision after doing 1 day of buds for SEAL training. God. I mean, that's what would, if you think that doesn't matter, Pete Haskell or the attack on women we've been doing for literally decades, women's rights, what women can do, this so-called thing of traditional womanhood or traditional wives, all this fucking evangelical bullshit didn't come to a head When that man killed Amber Sheck, you're a fucking idiot. Because that all led to his toxicity. And most men, most younger men, a lot of men are just don't know how to deal with people. They think that women should cater to them. Dudes, you got to learn. You got to earn the right. You got to earn a lady. You have to make them feel that you're part of them. They don't give you shit. They never do. It doesn't work like that. Never has. Yeah, and they still, and they want to get rid of women's voting. Why? Because some biblical verse? I saw that bullshit. Quick warning, Go ahead and try that. I'll tell you why that won't work. Because the suffrage movement was a violent movement. Women were planting bombs. Women were going to fist. Women were going to jail. They're not going back. Don't do that. But they think, I watch these people, they're all evangelicals. They're all using Christianity to justify their hate. Which brings me really quick. Side note, everyone knows about the social experiment. Well, here's the social experiment now, the aftermath. The three churches or the three people we know have been benefiting from people supporting them since that happened. Especially that Appalachian church with the guy they call Papa. I heard one of his sermons. Wow. That man is powerful. That's a man of God. He is preaching God's word and Jesus' words on this planet. The mosque proved that regardless of what these assholes say, other religions, if they're not radical, are right on the same train. They care about their people, about people in general. The evangelical churches that got popped, though, are right in full, you're out to get us mode. Persecution mode. You want to get Christians. You're always out against Christians. Christians this, Christian that. Yeah, well, why should we do it? Or one guy called her a witch. What you just did was prove to everyone why we don't trust you. Why we know that you're just taking the money because it's tax-free. And churches aren't about everybody. It's about those people in the church. It's a fucking clique. It's a cult. You're a cultist to a pastor. You run that church because people love you, not God. Truth. I mean, that's the truth. And I heard someone did something in the UK and got the same thing with mostly mosques helping out. I mean, as a Christian, I'm beginning to understand when people say there's no love like Christian love, because obviously you guys are advocating everything that Jesus wants you to do. You just become the Pharisees. You become the Pharisees. And there will be a price to be paid. And it's disappointing to watch you people. But it also was uplifting to watch other people who literally shined as spreading the word of God. And that Appalachian Papa, who's probably not long for this world, but I'll tell you one thing, he's going to be lifted up by angels when he passes. Because that man is doing God's work. The rest of you, to use a term from one of my favorite movies, express elevator to hell, no waiting. Okay. Which brings us to hell on earth. And those who deliver it, the demons known as ICE. Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm seeing the videos, is basically a motherfucking ghost town right now. Markets are closed. People aren't coming to work, so they can't open markets. Businesses are closed around there. People are hiding out. Why? Because this weekend ICE showed up in Charlotte, and if you were brown, you were going down. Simple as that. Yeah, they're chasing the criminals of all criminals. Landscapers. Guys hanging Christmas lights on trees. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're arresting children, mothers of children. They broke out a window of a guy who's a Honduran, who was a citizen with paperwork threw him to the ground. He's telling them, I'm a citizen. I'm going to get my paperwork. Get out of the car. No, let him get out of the paperwork. And they threw him to the ground, then released him when they found out he was an American citizen. But they arrested 81 people into the system. Those 81 people are disappeared. We're going to find out after all this goes down the reckoning. So all you ICE agents out there, you think you're getting away with things? You're not. Every time they yell at these guys, they go, I'm just doing my job. What are you going to do about it? What we're going to do about it is that the day comes a reckoning, you're going to wish that you had not done what you did. Because we are not going to be merciful. We're not. And sadly, I think that all these detention centers, especially run by the private prisons, when they open this up, it's going to be like the World War II soldiers opening up concentration camps. It's going to be the same thing, and the atrocities will be found. It's sad to say that, but it's the truth. It's sad for me to say that right now in 2025, my own country is basically turned on part of its population because a few people get off on it. Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, MAGA voters. I mean, when someone says, I don't care if Trump's a pedophile, as long as we get rid of immigrants, what can you say? I mean, Stephen Miller wants 100 million Americans, all white. Ain't happening, brother, but you know what I'm saying. Which brings me to what's going on with ICE, too, with the defense of ourselves to ICE. People have been protesting peacefully to ICE, yelling at them, screaming at them. But ICE now has begun the overreaction. Already there are people, these guys pulling weapons on people because they got their feelings hurt or they feel threatened. See, they're not professionals, they're thugs. And the one thing about a thug, as you know and I know, excuse me, I'm going to unplug this, is that they're cowards. When confronted with strength, they run. When confronted to feeling cornered, they lash out. And if they have a weapon, they will use said weapon. Now it's been non-lethals, pepper spray, pepper balls, shooting at people just protesting. But now a few of them have pulled weapons, live weapons. And something's going to happen. And people are getting angry, especially in Chicago. People are getting angry. They're tired of it because you can't live like this. This is not America. America doesn't work like that. These people are arresting people with no probable cause. I don't give a fuck what Brett Kavanaugh says. That is not the way the Constitution works. You need a probable cause to be arrested, not arrest and then find out later. You know that woman they arrested in daycare that they had to finally release? Or I don't know if they released her now. She had all her paperwork correct. She was illegal to be here at work. And the judge said they got to release her. You know why ICE won't release her? Because she said they're making up that she's some part of human trafficking ring. Who the fuck? And that's what they said, because all the MAGA chuds believe everything. I mean, they're saying what's going on in Charlotte. It's so they're hunting down the drug cartels. In fucking Charlotte? This is just ethnic cleansing. And so that being said, someone informed me that North Carolina is an open carry state. Open carry. Okay. And I was reading the Second Amendment today. Because the Second Amendment has been the bane of our resistance for decades. Because it's two parts. And the one that everyone concentrates on is the rights to bear arms should not be infringed on. Which gives everyone an excuse to have any kind of weapons at any time. Bullets, ammo, AR-15s, machine guns, anything you want, because you can't infringe on my right to bear arms. Okay, my thing is that you can bear arms, but we should have some regulation because there's too much violence because of it. But I want to kind of talk about the first part of it. And the first part of the Second Amendment says, in order of We should maintain a well-regulated militia to ensure the secure, in order to maintain a well-regulated militia, in order to secure the free state, the right to bear arms should not, by people, the people's right to bear arms should not be infringed. A well-regulated militia secure the free state. So let's talk about that part. Right now, the free state doesn't exist. They are arresting people without warrants. They're arresting protesters for exercising their First Amendment rights, which is they're part of the free state. If they're just standing there and arrest them, although they're not doing any type of violence to them, they are abusing people. They are arresting children. There is no free state. So under the Second Amendment, you have the right to defend yourself with your arms. So something's going to happen. It's not a prediction I want, but it's the truth. Something is going to happen. And someone in North Carolina or another state is going to pull out a weapon and defend themselves. And if they're going to court, that needs to be their defense. The Second Amendment says that I can be on the right to bear arms to defend the country, to keep the security of a free state from a tyrannical government, which we have. A free state. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that's the argument. Because I was looking at it and go, that's what's going on. This is not some regulation to regulate firearms, saying that you're infringing on my rights because of the free state. No. This is literally the government taking away people's rights to free speech, the rights to assemble, the Fourth Amendment right, their Fifth Amendment right, all of it, impinging on the free state. And according to the Second Amendment, we can use our arms to defend the security of the free state. And you tell me I'm wrong. I mean, share this. If you got other people, share it. I know I'm right. Because there is going to be an incident, and those people will have to defend themselves. And I would say, if I'm a lawyer, I'm defending on the Second Amendment. I will force them to take this to the Supreme Court. I will work on that. Because let's put it this way. These guys don't fear common citizens. If you notice in Chicago, they went to the north side of Chicago. I believe it was Lakewood, and went through Lakewood. Did they go into the south side of Chicago? Nope. They've impinged on Latin King territory once. You know what happened? They got ran out. Recently, there was a drive-by in Chicago against ICE agents. They didn't hit the ICE agents. It was a warning. Okay? Trust me, drive-bys hit things. And in Los Angeles, I don't see them going to Vadio, Compton, East LA. I haven't seen them. The fringes, the areas. They're not going into the hardcore places. They're not looking for criminals because they're cowards. And they know what will happen. Soft targets. Look at those guys. They're all cosplaying. It's sad because they're all bullies too. Because you can see that when people get yelling at them and stuff, they get all bad and people go, what are you going to do? What you going to do? What you going to do? Let's do it. Let's go. And they back off because they're cowards. That's the thing. And they're going to push someone too far in an open carry state like North Carolina, or someone who has a legal firearm in their home, and something's going to happen. And they should stand on the defense of the Second Amendment. Call it a Second Amendment defense because it's laid out there in the constitutional words. And if they drag into court, that's what my defense would be. That's what my defense would be. Okay? The Second Amendment. Well, what about, no, the Second Amendment. You were taking away my rights to free speech, First Amendment, due process, the Fourth Amendment, right not to criminalize myself, and the Fifth Amendment. You're not giving me my lawyer. You're not giving me due process. You're not giving me habeas corpus. You have taken away my free country, my free state, and I have a right under the Second Amendment to defend it. I think that's a viable defense, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what you guys think. So I just wanted to do this short, I don't do long, because again, I wanted to get this point out because I couldn't do it with a normal note because you go over 5 minutes, then you're gonna do a long video and never freaking uploads. But you'll see this Substack. It'll be up here. I don't know if I can download it to YouTube or not, but this is just specifically for Substack because I want to spend a little more time here. So really quickly, guys, if you're interested, if you respect, respect what I do and want to support me when I do, you could subscribe to my Substack at Binder 38 US. There's a subscription service. Go ahead and sign up. I would appreciate it. It helps me take some more time with you guys. If you want to support my work, I do have a PayPal account. You can make a donation to me. You can email me to kumquat6, the number 6 at outlook.com, kumquat6 at outlook.com. Reach out to me. I'll send you the PayPal link. Any kind of donation would be appreciated. To Miss Bryn, thank you for your help. For other subscribers, that money helped me quite a bit, especially to take care of some medical stuff. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. And hopefully I give you something every time I speak. And I thank you very much. Also, I am on YouTube at Binder 38 US. Look for my videos there. And also, I'm still on the old school TikTok, RJ12764 on TikTok. Look for me there. I appreciate any support you can there. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a close. I really appreciate you all who have been here, Mr. Johnny, all the rest of you. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead. Just to remind you, keep the faith. And remember, there are more of us than there is of them. And in the end, the reckoning's coming, and hopefully I'm here for it.